mostly cloudy, highs around 80 degrees for Milwaukee. And Madison, a 50% chance of afternoon showers with highs in the mid-70s.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Happy day after the partisan election, Hump Day Wednesday, Dominic.
As I like to look at it, Crudy, a political party hangover. We are the hair of the dog. Welcome, Crudy. I'm so excited today. I know you seem a little down, man. What's the matter? You need a hug. You need a hug, Crudy.
If you could hug me through the screen, I'm here at the broadcast bunker in Dane County. But, Dom, yeah, I'd take a hug right now.
Come on, man.
Here's one thing
I
can say.
Talk to me, buddy.
Well, here's one thing I can say. Tony Evers did not keep me up late. I mean, it was an early call last night. Tony Evers, he won big. Obviously, the Dem gubernatorial nominee, I guess, is the correct way to address him. Tony, Mr. Evers, Dr. Evers, perhaps it all works, Dom, but no, I didn't have to wait up late, and I didn't get any sort of close overtime. I mean, it was over at halftime, man.
It was, Crudy, 224,544 votes. Tony Evers pulls in 42% of the votes.
What was the total vote tally?
224,544.
That Tony Evers got.
Correct.
And the entirety of votes cast in the state of Wisconsin, just a hair shy of 1 million. And that's quite big for a partisan primary, Dom. That, of course, includes the Republican votes as well.
Right.
But that means that Tony Evers got about 22% of all the votes, and obviously a much bigger percentage of the Democratic votes, and he won many of the counties around the state. I heard someone else break it down. I won't do it for you again. I heard, Kathleen did pretty okay, like up in Pepin County. I think she won a couple counties near her former district. And I know that Malin had a good night last night. Of course, not as good as he would have hoped for. But Malin Mitchell, he outperformed, I would say. And Milwaukee, it sure turned out for Malin Mitchell. He won Milwaukee County.
Outperformed. I voted for Malin, man. He didn't outperform. If he'd have outperformed, he would have won. But well done, Mitchell. But 88,000, 16%, not going to cut it.
No, and obviously Kelder Royce fell short as well, as did all the candidates, including my endorsed candidate, Mike McCabe. I think he and Vinehout effectively split sort of that outsider, grassroots, blue jeansy kind of sentiment amongst the voting bloc. But no doubt, Tony Evers is your nominee, and we'll talk more about that. Let's set up this big show, Dom. I should be excited about, this show, it is stacked. That I can guarantee you. I did most of this booking, so I will take credit and feel proud of that today.
There you go. Whatever it takes, Crudy.
The new Milwaukee County Sheriff, of course, he's still got to go through the perfunctory, unopposed November election, but Earnell Lucas coming in studio on Brady Street, 3:30 today. Sheriff Lucas, to you.
Uh-oh. Better clean my pockets. I thought he was calling in.
No, he's coming in. He hasn't been sworn in yet, so, still time to hide the unmentionables. Also calling in, today, the chair of the Democratic Party of the great state of Wisconsin, Martha Lanning. Yeah. We'll talk with Martha at 4:05 today. Also, the new nominee, the Dem Treasurer nominee, Sarah Godlewski. And you and I have both been very impressed with Sarah Godlewski. We'll talk with her in the 4 o'clock hour as well. And then the chairman of the Milwaukee County Democratic Party, going to talk some backyard politics with Chris Walton. We're expecting him in the happy hour. And then there's Joe.
Joe Zepecki going to help put a bow on it for us at 5:30, and maybe we'll sneak across the street for some cocktails.
Well, you boys enjoy yourselves. And Downa, I understand you might be coming this way tomorrow. What's the big event tomorrow?
Crudy, you tell me, man. Just like always, you end up dragging me all over this country, and I reluctantly go because, yes, I agree, it is good radio, Crudy. You tell me, why do I have to leave the humble abodes of Brady Street tomorrow?
Well, after your initial no, because I talked you into if I have to. And what you have to do tomorrow, or at least what I've encouraged you to do, and you've accepted this mantle of responsibility, Dom, we're going to broadcast live from the Goodman Center tomorrow in Madison, and the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, and we, the Devil's Advocates Real Resistance Radio, are going to introduce the ticket, if you will, Tony, another friend of ours, Dominic Mandela Barnes.
Yes, great night for Mandela. Wow.
Yeah, he did very well last night. He won very effectively, took out Kurt Kober. And Mandela Barnes, he's been a friend of ours since the Assembly days, Dom. So, big show today. Early night last night.
For you and
no
the
drama.
candidates.
Well, no drama whatsoever. And, Tony Evers.
All right, so let's do this. Let's do this. Obviously, Tony Evers, of course, getting a majority of 42%, almost 225,000 votes. Number 2, closest to him, Malin Mitchell at 88,000. So he's certainly an ass kicking, I guess, is how I would put that. But I know a lot of folks are less than enthused, not necessarily because of his policy ideas or his platform, of course, but some people think he's not fired up enough, that he's not energetic enough. And I got to tell you, Crudy, over the course of this campaign, I've gotten to talk to Tony a few times, some of it off the radio. I think he absolutely has some fire in his belly. I think perhaps maybe the years on this earth has tempered the metal a bit, but I believe it's there, and I think as a wise man, perhaps he'll pull it out when he needs it and not show it all the time like we do.
Dominic, I'm just going to read you a headline from the national media, Politico.com. They describe this outcome, this gubernatorial race in the state of Wisconsin, and also reference a few other races. As the headline says, Dom, Midwest Democrats answer to Trump, white, conventional, and boring. I think they mean Tony Evers.
Oh, I don't think they mean Mandela Barnes.
No, certainly he brings a dynamic it's a sidecar
absolutely.
To that ticket.
I mean, come on. Mandela Barnes got more votes than Tony Evers did. Mandela Barnes,
really?
326,000 votes for Mandela Barnes.
More popular than the top of the ticket. You think Tony's got to carry his suitcase tomorrow?
I look forward to seeing those gentlemen, gel together on the campaign trail, and I think they will be a great contrast to Walker and the current lieutenant governor.
Now, I think the Political article, and I'll spare the audience them, I think they went on to describe Tony Evers as a meat and potatoes establishment Dem. And I think in some way, shape, or form, Tony's got to be called the establishment Dem. No doubt he is the fixture of the establishment. He won. I didn't hear personally the passion for his candidacy on the street. We talked about that in brief yesterday. Plenty more candidates had more passionate supporters, at least those that approached me at damn near every farmer's market. Wherever I went, but I had other people's supporters, but apparently the silent majority.
Yes.
But understand that majority is really a minority of even Dem primary voters, as you point out. Mandela Barnes got more votes than the top of the ticket. And even at approximately 40%, Dom, 60% of Democrats did not vote for Tony Evers yesterday. So, ass-kicking, I'm not exactly sure if I describe it as such. My greatest fear. And
Wait a minute. 46% not closest at 16%.
46 was the final measure?
Sorry, 42% to 16%. I mean, number 2 got 16%. He got 42. that's an ass kicking, dude.
Tony Evers has been the nominee by default for over a year. I mean, this has been such a boring narrative through the primary process. I don't think anyone did worth a damn at contrasting themselves, not just with Scott Walker, but also with the other candidates running for the office they hope to get. And I'm not here to throw sour grapes on the field, especially those that did not win. I mean, many of them ran fine candidacies, and they can all hold their heads high. They didn't go to the gutter. They didn't get dirty. There was no blue-on-blue violence. But, you know, some contrasting of their policies with Tony Evers. I mean, Dom, we watched this race play out. Tony Evers got in this race last August, effectively as the front runner, as the namesake front runner, the one with the most name recognition.
Yes.
And nobody did anything to change that dynamic for over a year. So if I'm a little tired and disappointed only in that, it's not the dynamic headline I would like. It's not the thing that would thrill the electorate. It's not, you know, I'm in it for the show, and Tony was the expected outcome. And the expected outcome is, you know, meat and potatoes establishment done.
Well, and I get it, Crudy, but, you know, coming from my independent libertarian roots, usually my guy loses. You know what I mean? So I think you need to look at this entire situation as...
Although you voted for Earnell, but soon-to-be guest,
point being,
sheriff.
Now that we're here, accentuate the positives and drag them along on the issues that matter to you that perhaps you don't feel that they're addressing as they should. I mean, this is the best thing right now, folks, is we have clarity. And yes, take a moment. The campaigns, I know everyone's going to judge the campaigns, whatever. Thank you for running. Thank you for putting yourself out there. That takes a lot of energy and effort and sacrifice. We need more of that. Take a day, take a two, but then coalesce, because really the ultimate goal is getting Scott Walker's ass out of the governor's seat.
Can I coalesce tomorrow like when they do the campaign launch? Can I coalesce around Mandela and Tony Evers tomorrow? Can I today just say,
yes,
I was looking for a more dynamic headline?
I will give you today
a foregone conclusion for over a year. It's like a bad movie. You saw it coming for miles and miles away.
And it happened.
And sure enough, it played out exactly in the predictable fashion that, we all saw coming for a year.
Well, then let's hope that it's a happily ever after. Boy meets girl, they fall in love, and they ride off into the sunset together. Let's do that, man. I get it. Take as much time as you need, Crudy. I know you will, because ultimately, and maybe it's easier for me from my independent roots to say, okay, great, now we move on. Now we go. When
you have no moral compass, it's easy to move on. I gotta mourn a little bit. I gotta mourn the loss of my aspirational candidate. I have to look forward to beating Scott Walker, one must hope. And that, of course, means embracing Tony Evers' candidacy. And that's what I'll do on tomorrow's big program. But this big program, Dom, I'm down a little bit. No, I'll get over it. Tell us what you think. 844-967-2789. Devil's Advocates will be right back.
They'd like to take me out for a lot of reasons far bigger than just this election.
Son of a bitch.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. But when we introduce a new stimulus, save the food. We're helping to stop food waste. Save the food. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
Live via phone, he is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
The Packing House, open every day of the year for dinner, including all holidays. Family owned and operated since 1974, lunch Monday through Friday, live music Wednesday through Saturday. Enjoy steaks, ribs, seafood, fish fries, and prime rib. Easy access from anywhere, across from the airport on Layton. Find us online, packinghousemke.com, or give us a call, 414-483-5054.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's three big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates, so relevant they have one foot in tomorrow.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Real Resistance Radio, streaming live on the Devil's Advocates Facebook page, the YouTube page, and on Twitter at Devil Radio. The party line, talk or text, always open, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I'll be more embracive of Tony Evers, and certainly I have no reluctance to embrace Mandela Barnes. Love this ticket. I think Mandela will add greatly to it. But tomorrow, my campaign starts. And I'm going to start campaigning Tony Evers to see things my way on legalized marijuana, Dom, because I would hate to think the top of the Democratic ticket doesn't agree with a party platform and something that is on a number of advisory referendums all across the state of Wisconsin. Do you believe that marijuana should be legalized, regulated, and taxated? And the current answer that Tony's espoused is, well, we got to run a referendum. Well, we're doing that in the fall. Tony, if the referendums would seem to indicate that that is the will of Wisconsin voters, will you, sir, stick it in the budget like so many of the other candidates promised to do? One other quick note, Tony Evers. Tony, we got some pretty dynamic African-American hosts right here on this station, Real Resistance Radio. I can tell you, African-American voters that expressed sentiment this morning were not embracive of Tony Evers' candidacy and said, quite frankly, when are we going to see you around here, Tony?
844-967-2789. A lot to get to today, but let's get to some callers. Cassandra from Middleton, you are next. Thanks for calling. What do you got for us today?
Hey, Cassandra.
Hi, thank thank you for taking my call. I'm an African-American female, and I did not vote for Tony Evers in the primary. I will, of course, vote for him in the general election. And one of the reasons why is because I went to hear him speak during a debate at the Dane County meeting. And I asked him a question, and it was all about his policy conversation is all education. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking education, but there are just other issues that he really has to explain and share how he is going to improve the lives of Wisconsin voters. And he just, I guess why I voted against him, I just don't think he has that cutthroat aspect to him where he will really take it to Scott Walker, and he just thinks, well, I've won statewide races, I can win. But that was in a different campaign, and he had relatively weak opponents. Scott Walker is just a very, very different ball game, and I'm concerned, but I will vote for him in the general election.
Well, you and I both, Cassandra. What about Mandela Barnes? Do you think this dynamic young African-American man will help inspire Milwaukee area voters, especially African-Americans, to come out and support the top and the second car on this Dem gubernatorial ticket?
I hope so. I hope so. But the history is that, the second person in line doesn't do very much because it's all going to be about Tony Evers. And unless he gets a message, I don't know his message. He talks about education, but here as an African American, if you look at his record, especially in Milwaukee, the students this was under his leadership, they have not improved. And I think that's one of the reasons why many African Americans are grumbling about him. It's, you really haven't done much for us. So I will get off the line, and I would love to hear what some of your other callers have to say.
Well, Cassandra, thank you so much for joining us. We've got Earnell Lucas, the new sheriff, newly elected sheriff of Milwaukee County. He comes in studio next. Dom, any comments for Cassandra?
I think it's a valid criticism, and I look forward to Tony Evers perhaps expanding on some of these other items that he can come to help convince people like Cassandra to stay and actually promote him.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Phone lines open. Earnell Lucas next. 844-967-2789.
Skywalker has failed Wisconsin.
Having a great time.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
It's important to buckle up your kids.
I know.
Sometimes car seats can be complicated.
I know.
And if your child's in the wrong seat and you get into a crash,
I know.
It could lead to a serious injury.
I know.
So you're 100% sure you have the right car seat for your child's age and size?
I don't know.
Don't think you know. Know you know. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Make sure you have the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Jesse Pica-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy, but know you need to move? Hi, folks. This is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean. Most are pet-friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009. Or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center.
We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Josh Call, the candidate for Wisconsin Attorney General.
Do you think voter ID had a suppressive effect, not on 100 voters, but on thousands of voters and perhaps tipped the election to Donald Trump?
This is an issue that came up at our trial. And first of all, I should thank you guys because we actually introduced into evidence the recording of you interviewing Dale Schultz, who was talking about the passage of the voter ID law. That was one of our pieces of evidence.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Yesterday was primary election day in Wisconsin. For the upcoming governor's race, Tony Evers will be the Democratic candidate to face Scott Walker in the November election. Milwaukee County will have a new sheriff. Former Milwaukee Police Captain Earnell Lucas defeated acting sheriff Richard Schmidt. And Leah Vukmir defeated Kevin Nicholson to be the Republican candidate to face Tammy Baldwin for Wisconsin Senator in November. Outside today, mostly cloudy, temperatures around 80 degrees in Milwaukee. In Madison, mostly cloudy with a 50% chance of afternoon showers and temperatures in the mid-70s. You're listening to Real Resistance Radio.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. We got a fine guest. He's joined Dominic in the Brady Street studios. You can call him the new sheriff, effectively. It'll become official in November. He's Earnell Lucas, Milwaukee County Sheriff. Earnell, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you so much, Mike, and Dom, thank you guys for having me here. It's an honor and a privilege, you say, the next Milwaukee County Sheriff to be here. It truly means a lot for this humble young man from the central city of Milwaukee. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, sir. It means a lot to us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we always like to have the law enforcement on our side, Earnell. Hey, I got to tell you, your race was not close with Richard Schmidt and Ostrowski. That race called quite early in the evening. I think your race was called as quickly as the Sensenbrenner primary. Earnell, 8:30, 9 o'clock, you already declared the winner. Was it a surprise to you? I mean, you had a sense you had the power of the people behind you, but Earnell, it's always got to be nail-biting time right up until you are declared the winner, sir.
That is correct. I went to the rave not knowing what to expect and was on pins and needles. But I knew we had a plan and a strategy, Mike and Dom, that was put together by my campaign team led by Garen Randolph and Ted Chisholm and Vince Bobbitt. And then we went out and executed it almost flawlessly. We didn't get deterred by the fact that outside money flowed into the campaign from my opponent. We just stayed focused to what we wanted to do, and that was to, again, be out in the public, get literature and mail to the doors, canvass everywhere we could, and certainly get up on radio. And I think with that plan, it was almost executed flawlessly. You know, I have to say, I spoke with the commissioner, Commissioner Seelig, today, and he made an interesting observation. He said, Earnell, Sue and I, his wife, we were pulling in to watch returns last night. I said, well, sir, those things can go really long into the night, almost like
like a game. He said, well, no, Earnell, your game was over by the 6th inning, And I said, well, yeah, it just happened to turn out that way. But so, again, I got to say, we had an outstanding team, and we executed our plan almost flawlessly.
Earnell, did you have any polling during the course of the cycle? Did you have any indication whatsoever you were ahead, behind, trailing, whatever the case may be?
We didn't do actual polling, Mike. What we did do, again, we had canvassers out, and we were doing phone banking. We had, over the course of the past couple of weekends, we had over 100 volunteers, either at the doors, delivering lit, and or on the phones. That is a phenomenal number when you think about it. And I owe that to all of the supporters that I had, whether it be Working Families Party, Voz de la Frontera, Grassroots North Shore, Milwaukee Area Labor Council. You can go down the list. It put forth our ability to touch a lot of people who indicated one way or another who they were voting for. And as it bared out, a majority of people voted for us.
Earnell, a very diverse group of candidates in Milwaukee County were successful. I know you only speak for your own campaign, sir, but as I was watching the returns come in, I'm thinking this is, Malin Mitchell did very well in Milwaukee. Mandela Barnes obviously must have done okay in Milwaukee. I saw some people that I didn't expect to see lose, people like Fred Kessler, and I saw your successful candidacy in Milwaukee. Do you think it was a younger, more diverse electorate that came out and voted in this primary? That would be unusual demographically.
I don't. I can't sit here and stand here and say that I've had the opportunity, really, Mike, to crunch the numbers. But if it was any indication, as I was saying when we were off the air, the ballroom at the rave last evening, it had to be 400 people or more there for returns. And I got to admit, it was a diverse group from age, from ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status, you name it. So I know for me, I can't, like you said, I can't speak for the other candidates. I had a diverse cross-section of people in Milwaukee County who I think went to the polls for me. And again, I hope to try to, coalesce and capture that. And hopefully when we go to November, help get a few other candidates over the top.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Real Resistance Radio. Earnell Lucas, winner of the Democratic primary from Milwaukee County Sheriff, joins me in studio. Earnell, 62,000 votes, 57% of the votes cast for you. So how does this work now? Since there's no Republican, you are essentially the next sheriff. When you start reporting, when you start taking responsibilities for the safety of Milwaukee County?
It's a fair question, Dom. I certainly had a conversation with Acting Sheriff Richard Schmidt last evening when he conceded the race, and he pledged his cooperation in helping me transition into the sheriff's position in 2019. I also dialogued with the county exec and the chair of the board on yesterday as well. Yesterday and then the county exec today on that very same issue. Guys, if I can not be presumptuous, again, for me personally, I don't know what my fate is until November the 6th when the voters get to cast their ballots. But the executive, as well as the chairman of the board, as well as the acting sheriff, all extended their support and cooperation in helping me prepare and transition to 2019. So I'm hopeful after a few days, my wife and I are going to take away.
A little break?
Yeah, a little break. Yeah. Go to the big city. I'm actually going into the office to discuss my future as well as what it looks like at baseball. And then take in all that New York has to offer. And then when I get back, we'll get down to putting together a transition team to look and prepare for 2019.
Earnell, certainly, again, given the position the person who held this position prior to you, and one of the themes of your campaign, to my perception, was, rebuilding the trust between the community and the Milwaukee Sheriff's Office. What's your priority? I mean, how do you do that? Obviously, you got to get in, you got to get through the process in November, and get your feet from under you after this long election cycle. But what do you see as the priority? What have people told you is most important for them for the citizens and the sheriff's office to trust each other again?
Well, I do know from quite a large number of members of the department who have reached out to me prior to the results last night, and then since that time, that all of them are dedicated and committed to the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office, to serving and protecting our community. All they ask is for the opportunity to do their jobs. And so I plan to walk in in January and allow everybody to loosen their collar, let their hair down, get the job done. Those that are not supportive of the new administration, they'll reveal themselves to me. I've been around long enough, guys, to know who's pulling for us and who's pulling against us. But everybody will be given an opportunity to do their jobs, to perform the duties and responsibilities that they swore an oath to do. And again, we'll get a sense then as to where this department will go from there. So it's, again, getting that team of individuals, both rank and file as well as command staff, on one accord and moving forward.
Earnell, Dave Mahoney, Dane County Sheriff, was asked by Governor Walker many years ago his position on marijuana in the state of Wisconsin. And Dave basically gave Walker an excuse to go out and, again, say that, hey, I talked to a sheriff, and he said, no, we shouldn't do it. If Governor Walker comes to you and asks you that question, what would you tell him?
Well, I'm not certain exactly what was the question. That was
legalizing marijuana, sir.
Well, I got a couple of positions as it relates to marijuana, Mike. First, not Earnell Lucas, but medical journals have proven that marijuana has a purpose as it relates to the treatment of pain and other maladies. And thus, I think we all could or should support marijuana use in that direction. Secondly, I think as it relates to the decriminalization here in Milwaukee County, I'd be an advocate for and support that, because there's disparities how marijuana laws is enforced in Milwaukee versus in Fox Point, River Hills, South Milwaukee, or St. Francis. So we got to do away with that. And then third, I'd have to have a little bit more data and a little bit more time to look at the larger issue of, do we legalize marijuana? Because my concern would be for those, I would want everybody to have an opportunity, if it's going to become a for-profit business or product, if you will, everybody to have that opportunity and not just a select few. So I'm a little bit, pragmatic on the idea of legalization, all in support of decriminalization, and certainly medical marijuana has its place, and I'd be supportive of that.
Sheriff-elect Earnell Lucas, I know a little guy right there next to you that would nominate himself for marijuana czar of the great county of Milwaukee. Earnell, congratulations once again. I got to ask you some of the important questions going through all of our minds. Did they give you a gun yet, sir? You get a gun.
Well, I did have a few deputies come up to me last night and said, sir, we can go and certify you right now on the range, and we can get all of these questions out off the air, off the table. So, again, I don't want to be presumptuous about anything, guys, but I know going into that first day in January when I take office, I'm going to be certified, qualified, and prepared, ready to serve as the next Milwaukee County Sheriff. And that's what the people need to know most importantly. And they also need to know that, again, I'm not a guy that's going to tout all the things I know and all the places I've been and all the things I've done. I want them to know that it's important for them to know that I care and that I'm going to do everything I can to respect all communities in Milwaukee County, regardless to there being immigrant communities, communities of color, LGBTQ, women, all communities. That's what the people need to know most important.
Now, Earnell, have they measured your head yet for the 10-gallon hat and the big belt buckle? And, sir, do you get a horse like your predecessor?
Mike, you're asking all the tough questions here, but questions that have all been resolved here. Let me say,
Are you certified in riding a horse?
Well, you know, I've ridden a few horses. I'm not necessarily certain that they all too much care for me riding them, but I've ridden a few horses. But let me say, a couple of guys last night say, Sheriff, do you like the dogs? I'm sure I like dogs. No, listen, I don't think I'm going to have a bravado that I'll wear a 10-gallon hat and ride a horse. But, you know, I do want to restore the honor and trust back to the uniform, as well as at least still be able to, Mike, still wear a few of these suits and ties that I've accumulated over the years here. So just going to be the basic with Earnell.
Well, Earnell Lucas, we congratulate you. You are effectively Milwaukee County Sheriff-elect, because those of us doing the math realize you have no November opponent, sir. But while you're in this transitory period, perhaps my little buddy could take you out back. You guys could do some research, and we could move you along in certain policy positions. Earnell Lucas, you seem like a fine man. We've really gotten to know you and like you over the course of this campaign, and look forward to having you as Milwaukee County Sheriff. Just, look out for this guy.
Well, you just stay up there. We won't have no issues, Mike, so I won't have to be running you in, all right? So.
Well, sometimes you got to get home. Sometimes you got to go fast, Earnell. Appreciate it. Sheriff Earnell Lucas, we are the Devil's Advocates. You're listening to Real Resistance Radio. Got a full docket. Martha Lanning, chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, coming along soon. More of your calls as well, 844-967-2789.
Thanks, Earnell.
Thank you, guys.
At last that blessed day has come, and I don't care where you come from. We're just gonna move on up. Moving on up. Lord have mercy, we're moving on up. Moving on up. Woo, we just keep on pushing.
And I want the rest of you cowboys to know something. There's a new sheriff in town.
I'm going to be your sheriff. You're going to be my deputy trainees.
I'm Andy Buck, Field Representative with Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. It's an issue that brings constant challenges for building contractors. How to find qualified painters, glazers, and drywall finishers. IUPAT knows what you want. A professional job performed by skilled workers who care about safety, training, and finishing strong. Workers who are reliable and ready on demand. Let IUPAT provide the people power that you need. You'll feel confident the job is finished right. Connect at IUPATDC7.com and finish strong.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's three big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on enemy anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Hi, Resistance Radio listeners. This is Kim Schrader, the president of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. We are the 4,600 educators who make Milwaukee's public education system possible. MTA members are the guardians of public education because every single day we are fighting to strengthen and protect public schools our students deserve. MTA educators are leading the fight in Milwaukee public schools for smaller class sizes, more recess, physical education, art, and music opportunities for every child in MPS. MTA educators are the champions for healthier school meals, positive discipline practices, equitable schools, and schools that partner with parents. MTA members are the guardians of public education, and we are proud to teach all children, regardless of their zip code. To learn more, follow us on Facebook at the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Scott Walker went on something of a Twitter storm, very Trumpian. What do you think this foretells for Scott Walker's future as the governor of the state of Wisconsin?
Wisconsinites have woken up. He talked about we need an optimistic message. How can you make people feel optimistic when you take away their health care? How can you make people optimistic when you take away the right to bargain? How can you make people feel optimistic when you're gerrymandering the heck out of districts?
Radio for the 99%. I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but they are kind of a big deal.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Real Resistance Radio, streaming on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio. Party lines open. Better take it when you can at 844-967-2789. Got a big show today.
Yes, we do. And we got to thank our most recent guest, Sheriff-elect Earnell Lucas. And coming up soon, we've got Martha Lanning. She is the chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. You know, the last sheriff, when elected, your buddy, David A. Clark Jr., got elected and did what? Went out there and thanked the air support, Dominic. Thanked all the righty-whitey talk radio hosts in the great state of Wisconsin. Now, first and foremost, I didn't hear Earnell thank us for the air support. But I'll let him pass, newly elected and all. But, Dominic, here's a point. Your girl, Leah Vukmer, is the U.S. Senate nominee on the Republican side. And that was a modest surprise to me, but maybe it shouldn't have been, Dom.
I've been telling you for like a month, Crudy.
Well, here's something I'm going to tell you and anyone that cares about this little media game, because I think right-wing talk radio brought Leah home to victory, just like they brought Ted Cruz home to victory in the spring primary of 2016. Craig Gilbert over at the Journal-Sentinel Online noticed a similar trend. Here's the headline. Dom's girl, Leah Vukmer, loses 6 of 7 media markets in Wisconsin, but wins the big one in the U.S. Senate primary. Republican Leah Vukmer won her U.S. Senate primary the same way Republican Scott Walker won his primary for governor in 2010 by running up the score in southeast Wisconsin and losing almost everywhere else. It was also the same way Ted Cruz won Wisconsin's GOP presidential primary 2 years ago against Donald Trump. People forget that. Mm-hmm. They forget that Ted Cruz won the primary. This was never Trump territory. Right-wing talk radio despised Donald Trump. Leah Vukmer Donald Trump. Hell, now she's accepting his endorsement via Twitter. I read on.
He's offensive to everybody.
But I voted for him.
Now I love him.
Accept his endorsement.
Yeah.
In fact, Vukmer, Nurse Ratchet, was strong Tuesday in the parts of Wisconsin where Trump was weak in 2016 and weak in the parts where Trump was strong. She's the anti-Trump Dom. What does that mean for Vukmer's bid this fall to unseat Democrat Tammy Baldwin? Does it suggest she will overcome Trump's lingering weakness with suburban voters or fail to replicate his strength with rural voters, or both? Well, Dom, Vukmer's performance Tuesday placed her firmly in the Walker mold rather than the Trump mold in the pattern of her primary support in a GOP contest between insider and outsider, suburbs and countryside, south and north. The former won in each case. As it has time and again in Wisconsin, Vukmer won the 10-county Milwaukee media market by 24 percentage points. I mean, that's an ass-kicking. against Kevin Nicholson and lost each of the state's 6 other media markets. She won only 15 counties and lost 57, yet she's the nominee, Dom.
But she won the bigger counties and by larger vote margins. Her best 4 counties by far were the 4 that make up the metropolitan Milwaukee. Waukesha, which she carried by 37 points. Milwaukee, which she carried by 33. Ozaukee, she carried by 30. And Washington, which she carried by 28. The only media market she won, Milwaukee, made up 46% of the GOP vote in the statewide primary, which is pretty typical. She carried it by 24 points. Nicholson carried the 18-county Green Bay media market, which is supplied more than 22% of the statewide GOP vote Thursday by 6 points. He won the Madison media market by 5, Wausau by 11, La Crosse media market by 20, and 2 other major media markets bordering Minnesota by 16 and 18. But those smaller markets didn't generate nearly the raw vote margins that Nicholson had in Milwaukee, that Milwaukee did for Vukmir. Despite the staggering amount spent by groups on his behalf, Crudy, more than $10 million, Nicholson failed to rewrite the state Republicans' math or map. No one has won a major GOP primary in recent decades without winning Southeast Wisconsin.
So in other words, all of his advertising effectively allowed him to win 57 counties. But what he could not win over were the right-wing talk radio hosts. They are part of the Republican Party establishment. 46% all Republican votes come out of the Milwaukee media market.
Damn.
Think WISN. Think WTMJ. Look at their broadcast patterns, and that's all that Leah Vukmir won. That's the same dynamic that brought Ted Cruz a primary victory, but, now they're, what? How do you bring them home like they did for Trump in the fall? Well, she's already the victor. How do you talk to the outstate Republicans? Because most of the right-wing talk radio hosts that have local community impact, they're right here in Milwaukee. They're a powerful brand. 2 of them, hell. But they can't beat back. Real Resistance Radio. You on the other side, 844-967-2789.
That music is for everyone.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Patients aren't allowed in the nurse's station. When you're outside, we'll discuss whatever problem you have, okay?
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean. Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Is my kid in the right car seat? I guess she is.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Forum, hosted by Sherwin Hughes, exclusively on Real Resistance Radio. Call in live at 844-967-2789 and give your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on local and national topics. Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 11 a.m., it will not be what you expect to hear, but we will definitely give you what you need to know. That's The Forum, hosted by Sherwin Hughes on Real Resistance Radio. Always streaming live on realresistanceradio.com.
You are listening to Real Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM Waukesha and WTTN 1580 AM Columbus. Always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
Trump pulls security clearance. Manafort arguments wrapped up. I'm Evan Haining.
President Trump has revoked the security clearance of former CIA Director John Brennan. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says the clearance is being lifted because of what the president calls Brennan's erratic conduct and behavior.
That conduct and behavior has tested and far exceeded the limits of any professional courtesy that may have been due to him.
And Sanders read a statement by Trump that said other former officials may lose their security clearances.
As part of this review, I am evaluating action with respect to the following individuals: James Clapper, James Comey, Michael Hayden, Sally Yates, Susan Rice, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, and Bruce Orr.
Trump reportedly did not run his decision by National Intelligence Director Dan Coates. At Paul Manafort's bank fraud and tax evasion trial, both sides have laid out their closing arguments. Correspondent Jessica Schneider reports prosecutors did not rest their entire case on the testimony of former Manafort ally Rick Gates.
But the prosecution did mention Gates' name several times, arguing that while he was involved in Manafort's scheme, Gates' testimony backs up the testimony from Manafort's accountants and keepers. See if it's consistent, they urged. But the defense dug in on Gates, making him a part of the focus of their closing for a case in which they presented no evidence and no witnesses.
We're getting more details on the Pennsylvania grand jury report that concludes about 300 Roman Catholic priests molested more than 1,000 children since the 1940s. And correspondent Jean Casares reports victims say the sexual abuse has followed them their whole lives.
An 80-year-old man who's a victim who said, "I've never been able to hug my sons. I can't go to male doctors." Because of the cover-up, the statute of limitations has run for almost all of the 301 priests.
On Wall Street, the Dow closed 138 points lower. I'm Evan Haining.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Have you ever considered setting up a doomsday home in another country? Some wealthy people have turned to New Zealand as a possible backup retreat.
Billionaire tech venture capitalist and Trump supporter Peter Thiel isn't the only wealthy American to have bought property in New Zealand. Other celebs talked about buying homes there as a place to retreat to should things ever deteriorate here in the United States. Well, now a housing shortage there prompted the recently elected government to pass a law that bars foreigners from buying property. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern.
Non-residents or non-citizens cannot purchase existing residential dwellings in New Zealand.
Critics of this policy point out that foreigners account for less than 3% of real estate purchases in that country. I'm Steve Kastenbaum.
In Detroit, hundreds of people turned out at New Bethel Baptist Church to pray for singer Aretha Franklin. Franklin is 76, ill, reportedly receiving hospice care. I'm Evan Haining.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on Real Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class, Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. From 3 to 4, it's State Rep Joe Costa Zamaripa hosting The Joe Costa Show, followed by The Dawn of the Resistance with Maggie Dawn, 4 to 6. Mandatory listening, always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Yesterday was primary election day in Wisconsin. For the upcoming governor's race, Tony Evers will be the Democratic candidate to face Scott Walker in the November election. Also, Milwaukee County will have a new sheriff. Former Milwaukee Police Captain Earnell Lucas defeated acting Sheriff Richard Schmidt. And in Milwaukee's 5th Aldermanic District, Democrat Nakia Dodd will face Republican Matthew Elder in the general election in November. Outside today, mostly cloudy, temperatures around 80 degrees in Milwaukee. For Madison, mostly cloudy with a 50% chance of afternoon showers, temperatures in the upper 70s. Tonight, mostly cloudy, lows in the upper 60s in Milwaukee, mid-60s in Madison. Then for tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a 40% chance of morning showers, highs in the upper 70s. You're listening to Real Resistance Radio.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, Hour 2. Dominic, we welcome back a fine guest. She is the chairwoman of the Democratic Party of the great state of Wisconsin. She's our friend Martha Lanning. Martha, how you been?
Oh, it's a great day in Wisconsin. I've been great.
Well, Martha, it seems like it was just yesterday we were visiting with you on air at the Democratic Party convention up in Las Vegas, and now we got you back on the air. It is the day after the partisan primary. Martha, my understanding, a lot of Dem enthusiasm. There were more Dems that voted in the state of Wisconsin yesterday than they were Republicans. Martha, is this an indicator? Do you still sense a blue wave a-coming, sister?
Well, it definitely is backing up what we're seeing out in the field. You know, we have people all over the state knocking on doors, talking to voters, and we're just seeing much more enthusiasm about this election because people are really concerned about what the Republican agenda is doing to their lives. You know, people see that the roads are crumbling under their feet and it's costing them in repairs on their cars. They're seeing schools are at risk of closing, and far too many communities have had to pass referendums to save their schools. And they're concerned about health care. They can't afford it, and they don't know how they're ever going to retire if they, can't find affordable health care. So all of these things that are affecting our neighbors' lives are causing them to take action, and absolutely it was proven yesterday by the strong turnout by Democrats compared to Republicans.
Martha, issue-wise, if I saw a tell in the outcome of the primary, I would say the fact that Wisconsin voters, Democratic voters, made Tony Evers the top of the ticket. I think that's got to be a nod to education and the fact that Wisconsinites, we value education. Tony's obviously got a career involving education. He is currently the superintendent of the Department of Public Instruction. Martha, do you think the vote for Tony Evers was a vote for education as much it was a vote against Scott Walker, if you will?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a vote for education. I think that people are deeply concerned by what's happened to their public schools. I think rural communities know that when your public schools close and you now have to bus people an hour away, bus the children an hour away, that your community really suffers. Young families don't move to that community because they don't want their kids on buses for that long. And so people are seeing the effects of Scott Walker's budget and what it's done to their communities, and they want to see a change. And they have faith that Tony Evers has committed his whole career to being sure that our kids get the opportunity they need to succeed, and they're looking for leadership that is going to invest in our future generation.
Martha, I don't know if you're aware, Scott Walker already with a preemptive strike against 3 of the policy platforms advocated by Tony Evers. Scott Walker is basically taking 3 propositions Tony has put out and trying to turn them into tax cuts in some way, shape, or form. Take the good of Tony's proposals and turn them into his tax cuts. Martha, do you think that smacks of desperation or just pure politics?
No, I think it's definitely desperation. I mean, let's face it. Scott Walker's made some really, really bad decisions. He's given out huge tax cuts to the wealthiest people in our state, and at the cost of communities, school districts, at our roads. I mean, we have the second worst roads in the nation. Everywhere I travel around the state of Wisconsin, people say the roads. The potholes all over this state are bothering people. And I think Scott Walker knows that his agenda has caused a lot of damage to Wisconsin. And so, his reaction is not to back up what he's done, it's to attack. And what I really appreciate about Tony Evers is he's talking about what Wisconsinites deserve, that he wants to make us have thriving communities again, and being sure that people do have access to quality health care, and that we have a beautiful community to drive into, and that people can be sure that they get the training they need to help our businesses thrive. And, I'm excited to have him on our ticket. I think it's a very strong ticket with him there.
Well, Martha, we've got Tony Evers top of the ticket. We've got a very dynamic, articulate, a great lieutenant gubernatorial candidate in Mandela Barnes. He got more votes yesterday than Tony Evers did. In my understanding, the party, the Democratic Party, doing something of a launch format, and I know these two guys have been together at the diner out doing some press interviews today, but Martha, tomorrow at the Goodman Center in Madison, about 5:30, something of a public introduction to the new Dem ticket, Tony Evers and Mandela Barnes. We're going to broadcast live from there. What's going to happen at the big event tomorrow?
Well, it's an opportunity for us to just bring everybody together and talk about what our goals are, and helping turn Wisconsin around, and showing everyone that we're coming together to work together, and that our ticket is really strong, and that people are very supportive of it. I am so proud of how this primary played out, that people were supportive of each other, that I had several people say it's like they're all friends. And I'm like, of course they're friends. They're Democrats that are coming out and they're talking about the issues that they know will make a difference, and they're so deeply concerned about what Scott Walker's done. But now that we found who that nominee is, and, of course there are people, everybody wanted to win, but now that we have our nominee picked, we're going to get behind that nominee and be sure that, we all work hard, and we have both Tony Evers and Mandela get across that finish line in November.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Martha Lanning, chair of the Democratic Party of the state of Wisconsin, joins us on the phone. Martha, Tony got 42%, followed in second place by Mitchell at 16%. So at 42, that means almost 60% did not vote for Tony Evers. And I understand, the candidates, in politics, and certainly we've interacted with them as a group, and they're very cordial to each other. Any concern about bringing the rank and file supporters of each one of those candidates along and getting them to coalesce around this new ticket?
If you had been with me last night when I was walking over to Tony Evers' party after it had been announced that he had won, that they had called it, you would have seen just a large group of supporters from other candidates walking in. I mean, people had a great group of people to look at, and of course everybody, picked their favorite and said, this is who I think. But you would just overwhelmingly hear from people that whoever the nominee is, I'm behind them. I mean, I talked to Democrats all over the state, whether they were grassroots organizers or donors, and they said, I've got my favorite, this is who I'm behind, Martha, but whoever that nominee is, that's where I'll be, and, working for them right after the primary. So I'm not concerned about it. I'm really actually quite thrilled by how well things are coming together and everybody working together right out of the gate.
Scott Walker is already warning his supporters that he might be behind in the polls when it starts, but he won't be behind, Martha, in the money race. He's going to outspend the campaign of the Democrats by millions and millions of dollars, I suspect. How do you think this ticket should work to overcome that?
Doesn't that speak to exactly what Scott Walker's all about? I mean, he brags about that he might be behind with the people, but he's way ahead with the money. I mean, that is why Scott Walker can no longer be our governor. The people of Wisconsin aren't looking for the slickest politician. They're not looking for the person who's got his pockets or his hands in the deepest pockets. They're looking for someone who's going to work for them. And that's what Tony Evers has been doing his whole life, is being sure that our kids get the opportunity to succeed and our communities can thrive by having, people who are prepared to take all the different kinds of jobs that require a community to thrive. And same thing with Senator Tammy Baldwin. We're thrilled because Tammy works for us. She's always out there concerned about the issues that will make our lives better and not about the special interests. And it's people like Leah Vukmir and, Scott Walker that they're not working for Wisconsinites. They're working for their political careers and their donors.
Martha, my understanding, about a 22% voter turnout of eligible voters, while a pretty big number for a primary, still, as a percentage, I think a woefully inadequate if you want to support and have a vibrant democracy. Martha, what's the plan to get people out to vote?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I think all of us, everybody should be concerned about because we want people getting out and voting. And I think one of the big things is the Republicans need to stop putting all these barriers out there that stop people from voting. It's just, we need to make voting as easy as possible, and we want to be sure we expand access to voting, the hours of voting. We want to be sure that people can find a time that fits into their schedule well, and we're advertising that to a lot more people to be sure that people are aware of it. We're going to have websites up that give them a full picture of who's on the ticket and give them links so that they can do research if they're interested. We're going to be sure that they know that they can register right online. It's easy, and we're going to help them do that. And we want to be sure that they can contact us anytime if they have any trouble. So we got to figure out a way to get people more engaged, because when we vote, we get political leaders that are working in our best interests instead of allowing just the big money donors to be picking who's best for them.
Martha, my understanding, Wisconsin Broadcasters Association has announced there will be one debate. It will be 1 hour long between Tony Evers and Scott Walker. It will be on October 5th at 7 p.m. Not a lot of time to draw contrast. Scott Walker still the better known of the two candidates. Is this disappointing that the WBA will only hold one televised debate, Martha?
Well, it's definitely something that we're going to be looking more into and finding out, talking with Tony, because we just found out who our nominee is, so we'll be working with them. But of course, we want to be sure that our candidate is able to get his message out there and for people to see the stark contrast between them. And that's why we're excited to have, Tony's been on the road all day today, reaching out and talking to voters and getting his message out there. He's going to be on the road again Thursday and Friday, and we're, coordinating opportunities like you had just mentioned for him to be sharing that message. And the more we get Tony in front of people, the better, because it is a stark contrast between Scott Walker and him working for his donors and the damage that he's done to our state. We have the second worst roads in the nation. We're dead last in entrepreneurism. We have a huge teacher shortage, and we can't find teachers to get into our schools because of the attacks he's done on schools. It's time for a change.
Martha, in our listening audience, especially in the 1st Congressional District, a lot of interest in last night's primary between Randy Bryce and Kathy Myers. Now, Randy Bryce, the Iron Stash, he has come through as the nominee. Any thoughts about that race between Randy Bryce and Brian Stile, the Republican?
Well, I definitely believe that, that district is looking for better leadership. They've had Paul Ryan, who has literally sold out to people and not making the best choices, not leading with Wisconsin values. And he's been doing such a bad job that he literally wouldn't go up against our Democratic nominee, and he pulled out of the race. So now is the time that, we're going to get that message out, because when people see that our candidates are out there working to be sure that we can make working class families have a better life, that we can be sure that people who work a full lifetime can retire with dignity and know that they're going to have quality health care. I think Randy Bryce is going to be working for all of us. And that's just typically what the Republicans have not been doing, and there's no difference between their new nominee.
Doug LaFollette held serve. He won his primary, but a newer name to many of the Dems that might be listening right now, Dem Treasurer nominee Sarah Godlewski, going to join us a little bit later in the hour. Wanted to get your comment about that race.
Well, I mean, Sarah did a great job of getting out there and getting a message out about how important the treasurer's position was. She was one of the people that wanted to be sure that Scott Walker's attempt on eliminating the treasurer's position here in Wisconsin did not succeed. And, of course, we all know in spring that was defeated. And it's great to see somebody like Sarah who really believes in that position and knows that it is an important position and something that we need to bring back to the forefront. And we're thrilled to have her be our nominee for that position.
Well, Martha, this primary process has seemed like a marathon, but this general election, this is going to be a sprint. Martha Lanning, is the Democratic Party of Wisconsin up for this challenge? Are we going to beat Scott Walker?
We are all in, and yes, we are going to send Scott Walker packing because the people of Wisconsin can't take another 4 years of it. The damage he's done is going to take us a long time to repair. But I am so proud of the Democratic ticket with Tony Evers and Senator Tammy Baldwin and all of our other candidates that we have the ticket that can bring real change back to Wisconsin and create thriving communities once again all over the state.
Well, Martha Lanning, make us proud. Our friend Martha Lanning, chair of the Democratic Party of the great state of Wisconsin. We'll look forward to having you on celebrating in a Wednesday in November.
Thank you, Martha.
I love that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. Your phone calls, 844-967-2789. And Sarah Godlewski joins us very soon.
They're winners. Winners get to do what they want.
Hey. Right. Okay.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
Hey.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA not only in my state but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The Earl Ingram Show. Join me at a new time, weekday mornings, for the Earl Ingram Show, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Real Resistance Radio, Monday through Friday, and as always, Saturdays noon to 3. The Earl Ingram Show, streaming live at realresistanceradio.com. Don't miss it. Voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class, the Earl Ingram Show.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Standing in line to see the show.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you missed any of this fine program, please go online, domandkrut.com. You can listen to and download podcasts and interviews for free.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, a friend of ours, Martha Lanning, chair of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. If you miss any of the interviews, Fancy Brian puts them up as podcasts at both at Real Resistance Radio and at the Devil's Advocates Radio page. Got Sarah Godlewski coming up very soon, Dom, but I just made a booking for next Wednesday.
Always working, Crudy.
I am. The occasion, Dom. New Marquette University Law School polling will drop 1 week from today.
Awesome.
Charles Franklin will join us next Wednesday in the happy hour, 5:05. We'll go inside the numbers. But, Dominic, do you suspect, as Scott Walker does, that he might be trailing in the very first Marquette poll in the fall election elective cycle?
He trailed in the last Marquette poll. He's been trailing in other polls subsequent to Charles' last poll.
But he didn't trail in the last poll, not to any of the individual candidates in the Democratic field. He trailed in the Marist poll.
Okay, you're right.
Doubt.
All right. Yes,
But
thank
in
you
the
for the
Marquette
correction.
poll, he was up 4 on Tony
Yeah, but he
Evers.
was within the margin of error, so fair enough. I would say yes, the trend will continue. I fully expect that he will be trailing, but perhaps trailing within the margin.
You could say that Tony Evers won the day that none of his opponents did anything to beat him, but I suspect he actually probably tangibly cemented his front-runner status the day that Marist polling came out. I mean, Tony Evers up 13 in a head-to-head matchup with Scott Walker. If that polling's anywhere close to being accurate, you know, we will have Martha Lanning back for the big celebration, the victory over the Man Party. And by man, I mean weaselly Scott Walker. We are the Devil's Advocates. Sarah Godlewski, the Dem Treasurer nominee. She joins us next.
I got a joint here, man. I've been saving for a special occasion.
I hold Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off at school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, and intellectually challenging. See why teachers have better work stories at teachdfw.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
It's hard to dream when you're fighting for 15. This is Pizza Box Mike for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Check out fightfor15.org to get involved in the fight for 15.
Hi, I'm Becky from Bounce Milwaukee, and I want to be the first to invite you to our newest attraction, axe throwing at Fling Milwaukee. Bring your friends, date, co-workers, or family to experience the rush of throwing axes at Milwaukee's first indoor throwing arena. Open 6 days a week for corporate team building, bachelor and bachelorette parties, date night, or just a fun night out. More information at flingmilwaukee.com or 414-312-4357.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Ignacio, what do you got for us today?
Hey, I quit paying attention for like maybe one day, and all hell breaks loose. That goes to show me I got to pay attention every single day to your radio program, or else who knows what'll happen.
If you don't listen to the Devil's Advocates 3 hours every day, Nacho, you're missing a lot.
You got that right. I just learned that today. I turned it on and I'm listening, and you really just rocked my world today. I was just totally blown away.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
Totally blown away.
For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Yesterday was Wisconsin's primary election. Here are some of the results. In the 1st Congressional District, Democrat Randy Bryce will face Republican Brian Stile for the seat Paul Ryan has held for 20 years. For Secretary of State, Democrat Doug LaFollette will face Republican Jay Schrader in the general election. And for State Treasurer, Democrat Sarah Godlewski will face Republican Travis Hartwig in November. Outside this afternoon, mostly cloudy. We'll have temperatures in the low 80s in Milwaukee. For Madison, mostly cloudy with a 50% chance of afternoon showers and temperatures in the upper 70s. Tonight, mostly cloudy, lows in the upper 60s in Milwaukee, mid-60s in Madison. And then tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a 40% chance of morning showers, highs in the upper 70s. You're listening to Real Resistance Radio.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Tom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, day after the partisan primary. And Dominic, we welcome one of the big winners from last night on the Democratic side. She is Sarah Godlewski. She is the Dem Treasurer nominee. Sarah, welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
Well, Sarah, certainly not the first to congratulate you, but congratulations to you. I was impressed at your victory last night. You beat a well-known media figure and also the former Wisconsin state treasurer.
Yeah, it was a good election. We traveled the state and really kind of got out there to talk about what the state treasurer could actually do for all Wisconsinites. I think that there's this misconception that this is a do-nothing office, and we worked really hard to share our vision and how this can help everyone in Wisconsin.
Well, Sarah, I know that there was at least one of our friends, we call him Wisco Paul, he was at the Democratic Party convention. He saw your speech at the DPW. He thought you gave the most rousing speech of any candidate that night at the DPW. Sarah, did you build on the momentum of that night's big appearance? Certainly the room had a lot of emotion for your candidacy.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's sometimes this idea that the state treasurer can't do anything. And one thing we tried to set very clear on the night of when we spoke at the Democratic convention is that this office should be doing a couple of things for you. I mean, first and foremost, this office should be a fiscal watchdog for the people of Wisconsin. I mean, it's crazy to think that we have not been using this ability to review and examine financial transactions. I think that Wisconsinites look at how state government is being run, and it's like a black box. You don't really know, what are my tax dollars actually getting me at the end of the day? And that's something that this office should be actually checking on is, was your tax dollars spent the way that they said it was? And when we're looking at things like whether it's the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation or Foxconn, this office needs to be going in there and checking on those kind of economic performance indicators. Or, you know, another thing that this office should be doing is it should be a fiscal advocate. I don't know, Dominic or Mike, if you remember the whole Wells Fargo situation that happened when they're kicking people off their loans. I mean, that was crazy. Remember, they're raising interest rates, kicking people off of loans, and state treasurers around the country were like, no, you can't treat our people like that. So they literally canceled financial agreements that were at the state level, and they fined them for the abuse. And you know what we did in Wisconsin? Can you take a guess?
Nothing.
Nothing! Ding, 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 ding. So, I mean, when you look around at the national level, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is that kind of fiscal consumer advocate, is being torn apart by the Trump administration. And so if we don't start at the state level to provide those protections, which are what state treasurers around the country are doing, who's going to be out there providing that for us?
Sarah, you bring up being the fiscal watchdog, and you mentioned WEDC and this whole Foxconn deal, and the way that this payout number was calculated, given the inputs and from, I would say, biased sources as to the profitability or payback date on when the taxpayers of the state would actually break even on the deal. And they didn't use one of the big issues here. Our friend Dana Walks pointed out they did not use discounted cash flows. They're assuming there's no inflation between now and whenever this may be paid out. Is that something that the state treasurer would have highlighted if you were in that position when that report came out?
Well, so just because of my financial background, so being in finance and investments, I personally could use that skill set to help talk about whether it's kind of the cash equivalents and looking at inflation to even with a deal at the rate of $4.5 billion, and we're completely doing it all on cash, not on equity, is crazy. And so just my background, I think I could add value and advocate for that way. But really where this office, I think, plays is that it doesn't have a say in the budget process. It doesn't have a say in taxation. I mean, that's what the governor and the legislature are there to do. So where this adds value is it becomes that internal control or that independent auditor to kind of go back in and say, okay, did they meet those kind of economic indicators? So they said they were supposed to create X amount of jobs in Wisconsin or bring X amount of economic development money. And right now we know they don't always check that to make sure that happens. And so this office could kind of ensure that those economic indicators are actually hit before we just give away tax dollars. I mean, this isn't corporate welfare.
Well, no wonder why they wanted to eliminate the position, because they don't want anyone in their way of giving away those tax dollars.
Right. Right,
Folks,
right. I mean, nobody's really checking what's going on. It's crazy.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, Real Resistance Radio. We've got the new Dem Treasurer nominee. She is Sarah Godlewski, and she's live via phone. Sarah, I got to tell you, I found your campaign ad to be the most compelling of the elective cycle. You had a lemonade stand, and some kid stiffing you a quarter, and you weren't going to take it. You wanted your quarter back. I think the theme being you watched the small financial details. But in that very compelling ad, Sarah, you did reference your background. I thought you referenced work either done independently or for the Department of Defense. Tell us a little more. What sort of work have you done scrutinizing prior financial contracts that trained you well for this role you seek?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to work for the Department of Defense for a little under a decade. And in that role, did a lot of different things. I think one of them most notably was an effort that looked at how we invest our training dollars and how we're kind of spending money. And as a result of kind of looking at how we were investing, how we were spending, but further how there were significant duplicative effort, duplication of costs, we are able to save taxpayers tens of millions of dollars.
Well, Sarah, I realize it doesn't comport with your current sought role as Wisconsin treasurer, but get your opinion. What do you think about the prospects of Space Force?
I mean, it's so funny that you say that, because I was talking on the phone recently to friends of mine, and I'm like, I mean, do you not know about NASA? Do you not know about the space program with the Air Force? I mean, how many space programs do we need? So clearly somebody's, when you talk about duplication of mission, that's such a waste, because, I mean, what's NASA not doing? And if NASA's not doing it, the Air Force is doing it. So how many kind of, show and tell programs do you need? That's just a waste of taxpayer dollars. It's ridiculous.
Sarah Godlewski, your predecessor, and I realize you haven't won the job yet, but Matt Adamczyk, the current treasurer of the state of Wisconsin, has been feckless. He's effectively tried to eliminate his own position, and then apparently running for a job in the assembly that would pay him less. Clearly the man is not strong on mathematical subjects, but here's my question. If you are successful, if you win this office that Adamczyk did not want, how do you make sure that your job has teeth?
I mean, I think first and foremost, let's just talk about showing up for the office and working. I mean, the way that this job has been developed by our forefathers here in Wisconsin is that this is a full-time chief banker for the state of Wisconsin. And I mean, it kills me, but Adamczyk never went to work, but yet he was getting a salary of over $70,000. And I will tell you, he went on the record saying that he would give back that salary because, he didn't really do anything. And I'm sure the state of Wisconsin, and as a taxpayer, I'm waiting to see that money come back. And I think we should get all $70,000 over the last 4 years because there wasn't anything done. So it goes back to, I think this whole theme is, it's not the position, it's the person. This is an independently elected office. And as such, it has three key things that it can do, whether it's reviewing financial transactions that involve our tax dollars, so being that fiscal watchdog. I mean, the other thing is it's the financial trustee to 4 trust funds worth over $1.2 billion. And fun fact on that is, in that role as a financial trustee to those trust funds, it has independent investment authority. So it doesn't need approval from the governor or the legislature in how these funds are invested. So we could do creative things in this kind of fixed income portfolio. One of the things that I've been talking about that I know a lot of Wisconsinites and friends and family have been dealing with is the student loan crisis. I mean, we have a $14 billion student loan crisis in this state, and there's no way for students to refinance. I mean, do you guys know what the interest rate was up to last year for students for loans?
What?
Any guesses?
6%?
I wish. It was up to 14.75%.
What?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And so if you think about it, how can our young people get ahead if they can't even keep up? I mean, this is predatory lending that is basically happening. And so what we could use is part of the kind of liquidity with this portfolio is we could refinance those student loans. So we could buy them at that 14%, 10%, and then refinance them for 4%. Or 5%, which is actually higher than the current return on those trust funds. So it's like being creative. I mean, what a concept in government that we can really do things with.
Well, I can't continue this interview, Sarah. You're going to understand I'm out of my element. I leave all the math to Dominic, and we try not to do any on the radio. Sarah Godlewski, we've really enjoyed getting to know you, and we know your candidacy is not over yet. You still got to win a general election. If people want to know more about your platforms, get involved in your campaign, Sarah, what's the website?
No, thanks for asking. It is Sarah, which is with an H, SARAH, for SOR Wisconsin, all spelled out, .com. So that, again, is SarahforWisconsin.com to learn more about us, our platform, and why we're running.
Well, Sarah, I got to readily admit, no candidate has made fiscal prudence more exciting than you. Sarah, we wish you luck. We look forward to talking to you again, perhaps between now and the general election. But, Sarah, I hope you win. We need a creative treasurer. We could always use a creative treasurer here in the state of Wisconsin. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sarah. Congratulations.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. You're listening to Real Resistance Radio. Now, Dom, you don't think I was off task asking her about Space Force?
No. She works for the Department of Defense. I think it's a fair question.
You know, just think about it. There's some relevance there somewhere. I feel quite confident. Otherwise, I was going to have to do math on the radio.
No.
And as the audience may know by now, Dom, nearly incapable. Come back with us. Join us on the phone. Little time for you right now. 844-967-2789.
Our economy's on fire.
Oh my God, we're burning alive!
What would you say you do here?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
I would like to thank you, President Trump. I also want to express my thanks to Governor Walker.
Foxconn CEO Terry Goh is thankful to the Republicans who delivered his $4.5 billion in corporate welfare.
Thank you to Foxconn.
Scott Walker thanks the foreign corporation who received the largest corporate welfare subsidy in history.
Thank you, Mr. President.
What about thanking the hardworking Wisconsin taxpayers you saddled with a generation of debt for a project that may never be paid back?
People should be rushing to me and patting my back and say, hey, thank you, Mr. Foxconn.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212 and tell him no thank you to corporate welfare, no thank you to environmental rollbacks, no thank you to a project that may never be paid back, no thank you to Foxconn. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here.
Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on Real Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Mandatory listening, always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
The Devil's Advocates. They refuse to do math on the radio.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Real Resistance Radio, streaming on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio. And you can hit us up on the phone lines, talk or text. Toll free, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest. She was a fine one. Hopefully she will be a great treasure of the great state of Wisconsin, Sarah Godlewski. And Dominic, we've got other fine guests joining us in the happy hour. Chris Walton, he is the chairman of the Democratic Party of Milwaukee County. And our old buddy, Joe Zepecki, Dem strategist Joe Zepecki. I tease Joe. It's all out of love, Joe. Dom, I found a very compelling headline at the Journal-Sentinel. Max Baer, Molly Beck. Media reports Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor candidate Mandela Barnes is dead, white, and not on the ballot. Why are you messing with our boy Mandela Barnes? Dateline Madison, Mandela Barnes is alive, black, and the winner of Tuesday's Democratic primary for Lieutenant Governor. Whew, I was worried there for a minute. But several media outlets covering the primary reported otherwise. Barnes handily defeated Sheboygan businessman Kurt Kober Tuesday by 36 percentage points. You go, boy. But Barnes' victory has been marred by 4 separate media outlets, even forcing Barnes to confirm he was still alive after one gaffe.
I'm not dead yet.
Last week, 3 newspapers in Kenosha and Oneida counties mistakenly, are we sure it was a mistake, Dom, left Barnes off the sample ballot published for readers to familiarize themselves with candidates. That prompted the Milwaukee native and former state rep to change his Twitter name to Mandela Barnes is running for lieutenant governor.
Now, Crudy, let me just jump in here, if I may. I get it, from a media standpoint. There's lots of races, but this is a statewide race, right? There's only a couple Dems running for lieutenant governor. This is a statewide race. This isn't, a little chunk of one of 99 or one of 33 districts. How does that happen?
Well, Dominic, it gets worse. Let me read on. Then, the night before the primary election, WDJT-TV, Channel 58 in Milwaukee, they were just outside interviewing Earnell, right?
Yeah.
I hope they don't put up a picture of you or I. Channel 58 in Milwaukee displayed a photo of Barnes while reporting the death of a different man involved in a recent car crash. Barnes spent the final hours of his campaign convincing voters he was indeed alive. And on election night, Barnes' winning margin was reported by Green Bay's NBC 26 with a photo of Rep. Dana Wachs, a white 60-year-old attorney who dropped out of the race for governor in June. Barnes, who is 31 and black, said he couldn't explain why he is the subject of that many errors in such a short time frame. I'm alive, and I am black, Barnes reported when contacted by the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, setting the record straight with the tongue-in-cheek, "It's like a weird movie." Luckily for Barnes, the incidents didn't seem to affect his race. Barnes won the primary with 68% of the vote. Dom, looking forward to seeing, hopefully, the alive and well Mandela Barnes in Madison tomorrow at the Goodman Center. We're going on the road. We're taking this little show on the road. Dom, we will broadcast live from the Tony Evers Mandela Barnes event in Madison tomorrow. So check us out on the radio.
I look forward to it.
But this is strange stuff.
It is strange, and it's varied. I mean, mistakes do happen, but to the one black guy running for lieutenant governor, I mean,
there were only two candidates, as near as I remember, Dom,
and statewide
on the ballot
again,
for lieutenant governor.
On the ballot in every single district. This isn't, as I mentioned, one of 100. So thankfully, Mandela, breaking news, is alive, black, and the winner of Tuesday's Democratic primary.
Now, do we have to break that news every day for the rest of Mandela's life? Right. Mandela Barnes, still alive. News at 11.
Mandela Barnes, still black. And hopefully Mandela Barnes, the elected lieutenant governor of the state of Wisconsin. That will be a great day indeed.
I tell you what, the Democratic Party of the state of Wisconsin dodged a bullet in that Mandela Barnes sure does bring some diversity to the Tony Evers ticket. I mean, half his age, Tony 66, I believe, Mandela 31 years old. Tony Evers, I mean, I know he's been out there. He's got the new hipster glasses, got a little tan somewhere over the course of the summer.
And a well-fitted suit.
But not a lot of pigmentation to his skin or his hair. Tony's a pretty white guy. And I think Mandela draws a nice contrast. You know, you hate to contrast too much with the top of the ticket in number 2. But I will tell you, the diversity that he adds to the ticket, I think the Democratic Party of the state of Wisconsin dodged a bullet. I tell you this, embrace him. The alive and well lieutenant gubernatorial nominee, Mandela Barnes. He is your savior, Wisconsin. He has risen like Jesus. Hopefully to take this ticket all the way to the governor's mansion. Come back with us. The happy hour is next. Chris Walton, he's the chair of the Democratic Party, Milwaukee County, and our buddy Joe Zepecki. He'll lighten it up. Dem strategist Joe Z. Come back. The happy hour. It starts right now.
I'm not dead.
Finish him.
I'm getting better.
No, you're not. You'll be stone dead in a moment.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. That's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
The Packing House Restaurant, located at 900 East Layton Avenue, offers fine dining and casual supper club style. Family owned and operated for over 40 years, the Packing House features great steaks, prime rib, and the best fish fry around. Join us for live music on Wednesday through Saturday evenings. The Packing House Restaurant, open for lunch, Monday through Friday, and dinner nightly. Call us at 414-483-5054 or visit us online at packinghousemke.com.
I'm Andy Buck, Field Representative with Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. It's an issue that brings constant challenges for building contractors. How to find qualified painters, glazers, and drywall finishers. IUPAT knows what you want. A professional job performed by skilled workers who care about safety, training, and finishing strong. Workers who are reliable and ready on demand. Let IUPAT provide the people power that you need. You'll feel confident the job is finished right. Connect at IUPATDC7.com and finish strong.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in the former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern. You are listening to Real Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM Waukesha and WTTN 1580 AM Columbus. Always streaming at Real Resistance Radio.
Nixonian action, jury instructions. I'm Barbara Cusack. Reaction was swift as President Trump stripped former CIA Director John Brennan of his security clearance. The top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senator Mark Warner, made a comparison to a former Republican president.
To have either their clearances revoked or in the process of being revoked, to me, smacks of Nixonian-type practices of trying to silence anyone who's willing to criticize this president.
The prosecution in Paul Manafort's financial fraud trial in Virginia urged the jury to convict the former Trump campaign chief based more on a paper trail of evidence rather than the testimony of a former protege. The defense argues prosecutors failed to prove Manafort's guilt. Correspondent Kara Scannell with the latest.
The judge said he would instruct the jury that they could not consider any motives of the Department of Justice. The judge is currently giving the jury instructions on the law, which is still ongoing. Once that wraps up, the case will go to the jury and they'll begin deliberations.
A grand jury report in Pennsylvania has reignited a push to end a statute of limitations on sex crimes committed against children. Abuse survivor Jim Van Sickle says the report identifying more than 300 priests who preyed on more than 1,000 children points to a critical legal challenge.
My predator spent time after trying to reach out to me to kind of get me past that period of time, because he knew that if he got me past that time, the laws of Pennsylvania protect the predator.
A Harvard-led study finds if you quit smoking and gain weight, potentially trading one set of health problems for another, you're still better off in the long run. The research found that compared with smokers, even the quitters who gained the most weight had at least a 50% lower risk of dying prematurely from heart disease and other causes. Stocks turned lower. The Dow was off by 138 points. The S&P 500 lost 22 points, and the Nasdaq dropped by 97 points. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Do you love public education? Do you want to support your schools? Then you should support the people who make them work. You should support teachers and their unions. Teachers' working conditions are students' learning conditions, and when the school bell rings, it is crucial that teachers do not check their rights at the door. The ability to organize and advocate around issues that improve the quality of a teacher's workplace will increase opportunities for students and make schools safer for everyone. Stand with teachers, stand with WEAC Region 7.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed a new law on sex trafficking.
Governor Andrew Cuomo signed a bill that makes it much easier for prosecutors to win convictions of sex traffickers. They no longer need the victims to testify to prove coercion, for example. But he devoted much of his speech to attacks on President Trump's record on women.
We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great.
Cuomo is facing a primary challenge to his re-election from actress Cynthia Nixon. Positioned far to the left of Cuomo, she has made women's issues one of her priorities.
New York is going to be the alternative state to Trump's America.
Steve Kastenbaum, New York.
Walmart announced plans to join forces with and talk show host Ellen DeGeneres to launch a women's fashion line. Dubbed EV1, the clothing line will feature nearly 60 items ranging from denim, tees bearing Ellen quotes, accessories, and footwear, all priced at $30 or less. I'm Barbara Cusack.
I'm Jesse Pica-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Once again, the American public has some reading to do. In a 29-page indictment today, Americans need to take a look at page 6, paragraph 20, and here come those important 8 words: to interfere with the 2016 U.S. presidential election. That is it.
Jim, I'm going to make a confession on behalf of the panel. Dom's not going to read the indictments.
Come on, maybe.
The Devil's Advocates, political commentary from the back of the class.
For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Yesterday was Wisconsin's primary election. Here are some of the results. In the 1st Congressional District, Democrat Randy Bryce will face Republican Brian Stile for the seat Paul Ryan has held for 20 years in this November's election. For Secretary of State, Democrat Doug LaFollette will face Republican Jay Schrader in the general election. For State Treasurer, Democrat Sarah Godlewski will face Republican Travis Hartwig in November. In Wisconsin's 9th Assembly District, Marissa Bell Cabrera knocked out Josh Zepnick from a seat he's held for 8 terms. And in Milwaukee's 5th Aldermanic District, Democrat Nakia Dodd will face Republican Matthew Elder in the general election. Outside today, mostly cloudy, highs around 80 degrees for Milwaukee. In Madison, a 50% chance of afternoon showers with highs in the mid-70s.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour, and it gets a little happier up on Brady Street. We've been joined by a fine guest. He is the chair of the Democratic Party of Milwaukee County. He is Chris Walton. Chris, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates.
How's it going, Mike?
It's going pretty well, man. I wish I was there with you. Let me ask you, do we have a nickname yet for the new top of the ticket, this Tony Evers Mandela Barnes? I'm thinking something like Tondella.
I'm not going to even go out there on that one.
Everella? What do you boys think? Everella?
Whichever they decide to go by, I'll be behind them.
Right.
Now, you mentioned
call them anything you want. We're voting for them and not Walker.
They're blue.
Now, Chris, you mentioned immediately before we went on the air that they're coming down to Milwaukee tomorrow. I want to make this announcement on air for the sake of our audience.
Yes.
Governor and Lieutenant Governor kickoff rallies, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Thursday, August 16th, let me get it right, 10:30 a.m.
10 o'clock.
Well, it says 10:30 on the DPW website, Chris.
Oh, 10:30
Take it up with
then.
the state party. 10:30 a.m., according to the DPW website, the best place that's on Juneau, right here in Milwaukee. They do recommend that you RSVP. And then tomorrow at 2 o'clock, Tondella will be in Green Bay, the Democratic Party of Brown Deer County office. That's on Chestnut Ave. Once again, they ask that you RSVP in the event that Dom and I will be broadcasting live from tomorrow, once again, Thursday, August 16th, 5:30 p.m. at the Goodman Community Center. That's on Wabisa Street in Madison. And then Friday, busy day for Tony and Mandela. They're going to be at Stevens Point Friday morning, La Crosse Friday afternoon, and then on to the fall election, November 6th, 2018. But Chris, you get to host them first, my friend, at either 10 or 10:30 tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to see the guy I think will be the 46th governor of the state of Wisconsin, Tony Evers. And I'm looking forward to celebrating the victory of one of my good friends. We actually went to middle school together. Seeing him as the lieutenant governor and seeing him get elected this November as the lieutenant governor of the state of Wisconsin, Mandela Barnes.
Now, you've got a very a very strong middle school classmate roster. You were sharing a few off air. Chris, who else did you go to middle school with?
So I went to middle school with Angela Lang, who's the executive director of Block, David Bowen, who's the vice chair of the state party and also my state representative. Mandela was also a year ahead of us, and Rick Banks was 2 years behind us, who ran for the state assembly last night as well. So
now,
Chris, our cast.
Yeah, that's a hell of a crew you got there, Chris.
Now, Chris, the party for Tony Evers was in Madison last night. I did not find myself attending, but you attended quite a few victory parties in Milwaukee last night. Which parties did you make it to, Chris?
I made sure to swing by. I went to Malin's party. I went to our new sheriff, who the Milwaukee County Democratic Party endorsed, Earnell Lucas's party. Woohoo! I'm very happy about that. And I stopped at a couple of the assembly candidates around the city.
Now, Chris, the outcomes of many of the elections, especially affecting the Milwaukee audience, a lot of diversity pushed forward yesterday by the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, let's talk about the sheriff-elect, Earnell Lucas. He was on the show earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to feel better to have a guy like Earnell in place than David A. Clark Jr., although he ran as a Dem. He, of course, besmirched the party. He was truly a Republican. Earnell strikes me as much more blue at heart.
Yeah. Earnell is a person that I'm absolutely positive is going to be a way better sheriff than David Clark. Then again, that ain't a hard bar to jump over. Right. Earnell is a lifelong Milwaukeean. He believes in this city. He's from this city, and he will be an excellent sheriff. I proudly endorsed him, and us with the county party went to bat to make sure that the whole state party got behind us to support him, to make sure he got our support for sheriff. So I'm looking forward to him, especially when driving on the freeway. There's a lot of things going on the freeways now, but I feel like he'll be a much better steward of those freeways.
Well, I just told him, one guy's going to drive real quick on the way off Brady Street every now and again. Just let him go. Let that one guy go. Let's talk about some of the other races on a local level. Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, Chris, I'm not going to say shocked, but very, very surprised to see Fred Kessler lose, not in the general, but in the primary.
Yeah, it was a shocking, but it happens sometimes. That's the beauty of democracy. It will surprise you every now and again. But I think that with Lakeisha Myers, we're going to have a pretty good person who's working with the district and actually represents the diversity of the district.
Now, Chris, you might have a better memory than I. It escapes my memory at the moment. But a young man, 18, just turned 19 years old, won a primary last night as well. Talking about, up-and-comers on the bench. Mm-hmm. Who is that young man, Chris?
Kalen Haywood. He's one of our bright new stars here in the county party delegation. He is going to be an excellent state rep, I believe, and I hope he will continue doing the good work that he's done. He ran a really great campaign, and I look forward to working with him.
Now, we know that Malin Mitchell was not the nominee on behalf of the Democratic Party, but Malin certainly invested time and resources and campaign strategy in the city of Milwaukee. And I think in some small part that may have been to the benefit of a number of diverse candidates. What do you think about Malin's candidacy overall? Still proud of Malin despite the outcome. But Malin did a lot right here in the city of Milwaukee to try to involve especially African-American voters in his campaign. Is that a mantle that can be readily picked up by Tony and Mandela?
I definitely believe that they can reach out and pick that up and continue the process of getting the minority communities involved. We definitely you have folks with races like Lakeisha Myers and Kalen Haywood. You also had races down on the south side as well with Marissa Bell Cabrera, who got elected and beat Josh Zepecki. We had a lot of new faces, new diverse faces come out of this election. And going forward, especially, I don't think that the state party had any kind of a bad news coming out of last night. Especially we got new people, we have younger voters, we have a great ticket together with Tony Evers and Mandela Barnes. And I think that especially getting these new minority voters activated, which is something I've been trying to work on here in the county party, but having someone able to do it from the statewide level, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a very good thing, and I hope so. We can continue it going forward.
Well, a candidate of diversity, Sheila Stubbs, also won in my backyard in Madison. Yesterday, she won her primary, I believe, the 77th Assembly District.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Real Resistance Radio. Chris Walton, chairman of the Democratic Party of Milwaukee County, joins us in studio on Brady Street. Chris, turnout Milwaukee County, I mean, given the primary, pretty hardy. Nothing like what it should be. I mean, I think historically speaking, but nothing to shake a fist at. What was your impression, and how do you think that can continue up through the general?
I hope it continues and it gets even bigger. You know, I was going around a lot of different polling places around the city yesterday evening, and we were seeing numbers that from the April election to this election were completely surpassing those results. Yeah. Went to one polling location, Ward 60 at the Atkinson Library, and they said they had about 100 people show up and vote in April. When I went there, it was about 9 o'clock in the morning, and they were already at 100.
Wow.
So we're burning past these results. If we can continue this momentum, this is what a blue wave would look like. So now we just have to keep it up and all the way until November.
What's the county party's role in turning the vote out, and what mechanisms do you use? How do you engage the local Dems and bring in more members?
Mm-hmm. We keep pushing events. We do a lot of our social media. It's highly interactive. As a matter of fact, today alone, we put up 2 or 3 different photos, and over 10,000 people within the county area have been reached. Making sure we have events like, say, for instance, we're going to have our annual summer picnic at Gordon Park on August 27th, where we're basically going to do a potluck. So if anybody is out there who was interested in coming to the county party meeting and joining us for our annual picnic, you're more than welcome from 5:30 to 8 at Gordon Park on August 27th to come out and join us. Just bring a dish and just doing events like that.
And how important do you think Mandel Barnes, obviously African-American, don't believe the news reports, he is alive.
I just spoke with him. He is alive.
How important is that, do you think, to really fire up? We've talked to some folks who are less than enthused about the energy that perhaps Tony Evers may lack. Now, I personally disagree. I think he's an even-keeled guy, and I think he's got some fire in his belly, and he pulls it out when he needs to. But certainly a younger Mandela Barnes, African-American, a great history of his own, that's going to certainly help fire things up. How important do you think that will be in drawing a contrast with Walker and Clayfish?
Yeah. Well, first about Evers, you don't beat a group of 20 people basically at one point running for governor. You don't beat the group without having some bit of pizzazz or ego to actually go past that.
Right.
As far as him being able to do it, I'm absolutely positive he'll be the next governor of the state of Wisconsin. In regards to Mandela, I know Mandela, I've known him for quite some time. He is definitely not one person to be a shrinking wallflower. He's going to get out there on the campaign trail, and he's going to hit it hard and make sure that everybody is involved, and including here in Milwaukee. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this ticket goes. And against Walker and Clayfish, honestly, I feel the energy's on our side.
Chris, got to ask you about the senatorial race. Obviously, Tammy Baldwin is the nominee for the Democrats. But Leah Buchmer won, and she won the Milwaukee media market. She won Milwaukee County. She won the exurbs overwhelmingly. Chris, what role does the local Democratic Party serve to Tammy Baldwin's campaign in the fall? Because now it's really going to be a battle to see who can win the Metro, who can win the media Milwaukee Metro.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know, for example, the first office that Senator Baldwin opened in the state of Wisconsin outside of her main headquarters in Madison was right here in Milwaukee at 5040 West North Avenue. We're working hard here in Milwaukee to make sure that come November we get the results that we're expecting to get with Senator Baldwin being reelected. As far as with Leah Buchmer, Senator Baldwin has always made sure that she was putting Wisconsin first. She's worked on educational issues. She's fighting for make sure we don't get the health care bill repealed. All of these things that we want to be in place and to continue to try and get a Democratic Senate majority, we're not going to get that with Leah Buchmer voting to support Trump. So we have to make sure that we come out there and vote. And she's working hard already. She's been doing events day in and day out all over the state of Wisconsin, especially here in Milwaukee last weekend.
Now, Chris, shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but something of a relief. Congresswoman Gwen Moore also successfully defended her seat. She went through the primary successfully yesterday. How much do you think she will be a resource for Tammy Baldwin and the Dems here in Milwaukee?
I'm absolutely sure anything that Gwen Moore decides she wants to get done, she is not going to be stopped. Gwen Moore, Congresswoman Moore, is absolutely one of our biggest surrogates out here in the Milwaukee area, especially in the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County. She will absolutely be one of the persons who carries this ticket across the line in Milwaukee. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she decides to do and how she wants to do it.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show on Real Resistance Radio. We've got Chris Walton. He is the Milwaukee County Democratic Party Chair, and he will stick around if you'll be so kind. Stick around, Chris Walton. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates after this brief break.
Have you ever popped champagne on a plane while getting some? She said I never seen snakes on a plane. Whether you broke or rich, you gotta get this. Having money's not everything, that having it is. I was splurging on trips, but when I get my car back activated, I'm back to Vegas.
Diversity and diversity. Did you ask me a question?
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. But when we introduce a new stimulus, save the food. We're helping to stop food waste. Save the food. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on Real Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class, Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. From 3 to 4, it's State Rep Joe Costa Zamaripa hosting The Joe Costa Show, followed by The Dawn of the Resistance with Maggie Dawn, 4 to 6. Mandatory listening, always streaming at realresistanceradio.com.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Real Resistance Radio, streaming on YouTube and Facebook. Don't forget the website, domandcrute.com. You can listen to interviews and podcasts.
Dominic, you've got Chris Walton, Milwaukee County Democratic Party Chair, live in the Brady Street studios with you. Joe Zepecki, soon to join you. I'm here in the broadcast bunker in Madison, but gotta ask you, Chris, and I don't mean to try and commoditize African-American voters or black voters, but I'm looking at Daniel Bice's list of winners and losers. In the primary last night, he counts amongst the winners the Black Leader Organizing for Community Block. This newer organization supported Evan Goyke. It supported Earnell Lucas. It supported Mandela Barnes. And they probably turned some of the votes out for Malin Mitchell. Now, can Block effectively turn them out for Tony Evers? I listened to Sherwin Hughes. I listened to the forum this morning on Resistance Radio, Chris. There were a lot of black voters that seemed unconvinced that Tony Evers was the right candidate. I want to get your opinion on it, sir. How do we turn them out?
Well, we have to actually get into those areas and make sure that they come out and vote and explain to them why they should vote for us. You know, we can't just expect the black vote to show up. We have to go out there and campaign and get them to come out and vote for us, not because they're afraid of Walker or they can't stand Walker. We have to get them to like us. And that's one thing, honestly, Block, I work really closely with them. I went to school with Angela, who's the executive director there. And she is somebody who is extremely committed to making sure that every person gets the chance to vote and actually get their issues heard and care about. I'm absolutely positive that Block is going to be able to turn the vote out because of the issues that they are focused on and reaching into the black community. And I'm absolutely sure that the Evers-Barnes campaign is going to come into those areas and campaign in those areas, because I'm going to make sure that those areas are on target list of, we need to send organizers here. We need to make sure these communities are interacted with. And we're not just going to take it for granted. We want them to come out. We hope they will come out, and we're going to make sure they come out.
Well, Chris, it would seem that Leah Vukmer won the nomination on the Republican side for Senate in no small part because she was the darling of right-wing talk radio. We know that 1290 AM, a former African-American talk station, no longer exists. I'm not saying WNOV is diminished, but we've got their former best host working over on Resistance Radio. How much of a part do you think our morning host, Earl Ingram, and Sherwin Hughes can play in messaging to the African-American community, Chris?
I think that both of them can be very helpful. And, you know, I'm going to do everything I can. Me coming to the show, making sure Tammy and making sure Tony and Mandela all come to the shows, making sure that we all go to every single radio station we can get on, they'll take us.
Hey, Chris, if people want to get involved, you know, now it's really time to put the feet to the street. If people want to get involved with the Milwaukee Democratic Party, how would they do so?
You can come to our website, MilwaukeeDemocrats.org, all spelled out, MilwaukeeDemocrats.org. You can also reach us on our Facebook page, Democratic Party of Milwaukee County. We have a like page and we have a group. There's also, I have my own page, Milwaukee Chris Walton, MKE Dems Chair, also on Facebook. We have a lot of different ways to get out and reach you. And if you're interested, also wisdems.org. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you.
Chris Walton, County Chair, Democratic Party, Milwaukee. Thank you so much, sir. Joe Zepecki.
Thanks for having me.
Devils.
Thanks, Chris.
No, I'm going to stay for a while. How about that? This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable. But how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
The Forum, hosted by Sherwin Hughes, exclusively on Real Resistance Radio. Call in live at 844-967-2789 and give your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on local and national topics. Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 11 a.m. It will not be what you expect to hear, but we will definitely give you what you need to know. That's The Forum, hosted by Sherwin Hughes on Real Resistance Radio. Always streaming live on realresistanceradio.com.
The bridge is out, and there are scat holes everywhere. Come on. What's wrong with you? Listen to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and he puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that
I'm using
failed
facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
For Real Resistance Radio, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Yesterday was primary election day in Wisconsin. For the upcoming governor's race, Tony Evers will be the Democratic candidate to face Scott Walker in the November election. Milwaukee County will have a new sheriff. Former Milwaukee Police Captain Earnell Lucas defeated acting sheriff Richard Schmidt. And Leah Vukmir defeated Kevin Nicholson to be the Republican candidate to face Tammy Baldwin for Wisconsin Senator in November. Outside today, mostly cloudy, temperatures around 80 degrees in Milwaukee. In Madison, mostly cloudy with a 50% chance of afternoon showers and temperatures in the mid-70s. You're listening to Real Resistance Radio.
Ass, grass, or cash, nobody rides for free. Dom and Crute are the devil's advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. The happy hour, it continues. We got Joe Zepecki live in the fishbowl on Brady Street. Thank you, Chris Walton, Milwaukee County Democratic Party Chair. He was a fine guest. We hope the next guest can come close to measuring up.
I'll do my best.
Joe, I wish I was there to, badger you in person.
You're welcome to badger me from wherever you want.
Anytime, Crudy.
So, Joe Zepecki, what was your first impression of the outcomes of the Dem primary last night. We'll ask about the Republicans later, but what was your impression? Tony Evers, what a dynamic choice.
He closed the deal. Listen, people have their own criticisms, and everybody had their own favorites among the field. And let's take a second and recognize what an incredible field it was. 14 months ago, people thought, oh, man, the Democrats aren't going to have anybody to run against Scott Walker. We had an embarrassment of riches. That was a great field, and it bodes well for years to come for Democrats. The fact that Tony Evers was able to hold everybody off, really talented politicians like Malin Mitchell, like Kelda Roys, people with fervent followings like Mike McCabe who have been working for years to try something new, you got to tip your hat to Tony Evers today and say, you know what? Maybe he didn't set the room on fire every time out there, but he brought this Democratic Party together and got a bigger share of the vote than I think anybody thought he would in an 8-way primary.
Well, Joe, no doubt Tony Evers held serve, but his elective platform so far has been, I'm the front runner. We got new Marquette polling dropping next week. Perhaps he's still the front runner. But, Joe, I don't think that's going to be an effective campaign platform in the general.
Repairing the damage done to our schools by Scott Walker. Finally, after 8 years, doing something about our roads, which is are the second worst in the nation. Stopping the attack on health care from Scott Walker and Attorney General Schimmel. That's a winning combination, and Tony Evers knows how to get it done. He's a sturdy, trusted, steady-as-she-goes guy who knows how to get things done. Right? I mean, that's one of the things this morning that stands out to me. You've got this ridiculous attack ad from the Republican Party and Scott Walker about this teacher. And there was a controversy, right? There was a teacher who did something that they shouldn't have done. Tony Evers followed the law, and because the law was piss poor, he did something to change it. Scott Walker, when asked to intervene in the same case, passed the buck. Tony Evers got to work and passed a law. That's how you enact change. He knows how to get it done, and for the next 3 months, he's going to be telling that story and many others to the state of Wisconsin about how we can move in a new direction and get past the debacle of the last 8 years. Everybody should be excited about the change that is on the horizon, even if Tony Evers wasn't your primary vote. And the first people you should look to take your cues on that enthusiasm are the rest of the Democratic field, right down to Mike McCabe. The only one who wouldn't pledge before last night to support the nominee was out there within the hour saying, you know what, I'm with Tony Evers. It was a great field. He ran a great race. He won it, and now it's on to the general.
Well, Joe, I don't know if you got the memo. I'm coalescing tomorrow
we're
at the big
on
campaign
Crudy time?
lunch.
Jeez Louise.
Well,
I'm on Crudy time.
There's got to be a mourning period, perhaps, for some of those folks who voted for somebody else. And I voted for Malin Mitchell, but I guess I would say this, as the independent on the panel here, my guys usually lose. So I'm easy to get over it, because my ultimate goal here is the guy who once voted for Scott Walker in the recall after Barrett, and I regret that. Would not have done it had I known what this guy has been into. But now I just look forward. Now, what I want to do, Joe, is get this guy the hell out of Wisconsin. That is my goal, and I have no problem. I would have supported any of these candidates against Governor Scott Walker. My guy was Malin Mitchell. Didn't work out. But, oh, well, here we go. I have no problem coalescing today. But do you think there is any concern about the it's one thing for McCabe himself to say it, but as he mentioned, his supporters are not cheap, and nobody is. And perhaps they'll look to their leaders or the person they supported to help them, shepherd them along. But do you have any concern, Joes, about the rank and file, just everyday people who supported somebody else coalescing around Evers and Mandela?
I don't. I mean, look, let's pick on Illinois for a second, right? Like in Illinois, you've got a billionaire who, basically bought the nomination for governor. That's not Tony Evers, right? This is a small town rural teacher who worked his way up, became a superintendent, an administrator of a school district, has been rewarded by Republicans, Democrats, and independents with 3 or 4 resounding statewide victories. This is a known, trusted guy. This is not a guy who had hundreds of thousands of dollars of dark money coming in to help him. He is not in the pocket of special interests in the way that Scott Walker is. He is doing this for our kids and for our state. And those things work hand in hand when you're talking to Tony Evers, because he will tell you the plain truth. What is best for kids in this state is what's best for our state, whether they are black, brown, from poor neighborhoods, from wealthy neighborhoods. We've got to get public education right to create more opportunity. Tony Evers knows how to do that, and that's point number one. He also has experience dealing with serious healthcare challenges. He knows that we have to expand access to healthcare. We have to bring down costs so that families are never faced with that choice between paying a medical bill or making rent. He knows that Scott Walker for 8 years has been derelict in his duty to actually maintain our infrastructure. That's a winning combination, and the new day that is possible on November 7th should be enough to excite all of us to get, in the words of your boy, Malin Mitchell, all hands working for the next 90 plus whatever days it is.
It's like 83 days.
It's coming quick.
It's not even 90 days.
This is what happens when we try to do math on the radio.
Don't do math on the radio.
That.
It's a rule.
Tony Evers, perhaps my frustration, not with Tony so much as his opponents in the field. I heard them described earlier today, Joe, a bunch of friends, and they were certainly a friendly bunch. As you know, I joined them briefly, and many of them welcomed me to the field, and I'm like, no, that's not what you do. Step on my toes, get a little frustrated. You know, I'm upsetting the apple cart here. Nobody upset the apple cart. And here's the only point I would make in that regard, Joe. No one sharpened the iron. Nobody pushed Tony Evers, contrasted their positions with him, not in an effective way, not in a forum, not in a debate. And Joe, eventually, he's going to have to go up against Scott Walker. And I am not clear that Tony Evers is a strong candidate in a debate format. And that might be the only opportunity head-to-head that he gets. Right now, only one debate on the schedule, 1 hour on October 5th. And Tony Evers has not been challenged by any of his Dem primary opponents to the best of my memory, Joe.
You know what? If the people of Wisconsin want a seasoned political operative who knows how to throw an elbow, get down in the dirt, throw haymaker after haymaker, and do what his big donors in the polls tell him, then they should vote for Scott Walker. Tony Evers has been running races across this state for a long time and winning them. I didn't notice in the first comments he made after winning nomination when he said he would be the one to put an end to Scott Walker's reign of terror. That's not a shrinking violet, okay? He's going to go toe-to-toe with Scott Walker, but he's going to take the high road. And you know what? It's about damn time somebody does that.
Yeah, but when Mr. T says it, it sounds a little different than when Mr. Rogers says it. You know what I mean? I think, and I don't, I get it. Reading the transcript, you're absolutely right. And I agree with the sentiment, but I think Crudy is talking about the marketing, you know, the pizzazz, the emotion. And I say this, and being able to be up and close a few times with Tony, I believe he's got that fire, and I think he weathers his temper and his manners very well. He's been around a long time. I mean, this isn't his first time out there, as you mentioned, and I think, and I'm hopeful, based on what I've seen, that will come out during the debates and over the next 83 days.
Yeah, listen, the guy's tough. Different people express their toughness in different ways. And in my experience, the people who bluster the most and talk the loudest are really the cowards, right? Look no further than
you calling me a coward, Joe?
Look no further than President Donald Trump is who I'm referring to.
Amen, brother.
Don't tell me you're tough.
Yeah.
Don't shoot off your mouth to impress people. Just go out there and do the damn thing every day. And Tony Evers just did that, right? You say nobody took him on. There were people chattering about town. There was this and that. And you know what? He emerged on top. He didn't limp to victory. He expanded his lead that was established in every poll. That means he closed the deal. And I'll ride with Tony Evers from now until Election Day, and hopefully for a long time after that when he's
42%, number one, Malin Mitchell coming in second at 16%. Do you consider that a mandate? I mean, how do you define that margin of victory, Joe?
I don't think primary elections are ever about mandates. I think primary elections are about who reflects our values and who do we believe is in the best position to not only win an election to govern according to those values, but to enact policies, to deal with things that we don't anticipate coming around the corner according to those values. You know, Crudy, I mean, yeah, it's a lot like a big family, right? A bunch of friends getting together, and they've all got their own take on what Wisconsin needs. But in terms of values, these folks were largely in the same spot. In terms of the issues, these folks were largely in the same spot. It becomes about temperament and steeliness and ability to get stuff done. And I think that Tony Evers fits that bill. And clearly the people of Wisconsin agreed.
Joe, what about turnout? We understand in the primary, almost 1 million voters cast a preference yesterday in the state of Wisconsin. More Dems than Republicans.
A lot more.
I haven't seen prior primary turnout tabulations. I'm not doing this from any experience, but I would say in the midterms, it seems historically, at least in Wisconsin, Republicans turn out better. What do you think this outcome yesterday foretells?
So this was a conversation we had last night with some Republicans involved. Traditionally, more Democrats vote in primaries. What was different this time is for the first time in 30 years in Wisconsin, you had a hotly contested Republican top-of-the-ticket statewide primary and a top-of-the-ticket hotly contested statewide primary on the Democratic side. Then you add in the fact that there were $10-15 million spent by Leah Vukmir and Kevin Nicholson, and maybe $3 million, $5 million total spent by the Democrats. The fact that there were still 82,000 more Democratic primary votes cast yesterday means that what we saw in January, what we saw in April, and what we saw in June is continuing. And that is Democratic enthusiasm and people saying, never again will we stay home and miss an election because we think we've got it in the bag, because people understand what that can bring now, and that's the occupant of the White House.
The trend continues then, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People are fired up.
Joe, top of the ticket, Tony Evers. We know he's the top of the ticket. Mandela Barnes, the sidekick, the lieutenant gubernatorial nominee. He brings youth. He brings diversity. He brings
ability to rise from the dead overnight.
Right, and change colors.
I mean, he's a shapeshifter.
I mean, these are some unusual stories coming out about the travails of Mandela's late campaigning. But let me ask you, do you average it out? Do you say, well, our nominee is 45 years old on average?
No, here's what I say. When you look up and down the ticket, when you look at Tony Evers, demonstrated statewide electoral strength. Mandela Barnes, one of the most energetic, inspiring young men in politics today in the state of Wisconsin. Josh Call, an incredibly accomplished prosecutor who is connected with voters across the state and taken it to Brad Schimel, even though he doesn't have a primary. SarahforWI Godlewski, a new name, also in her 30s. The Wisconsin Democratic Party is alive and well. We have got young people stepping up to run, and I think that balance between kind of the experienced and seasoned folks with that new blood, I think that's awesome, not just for this fall, but for years to come.
Joe, I'm taking recommendations for a nickname for this ticket. I've thrown Tondella out there, or maybe
you're
Evers Ella.
Wait, what was the second one, Crudy?
Evers Ella.
Oh, let's not have Crudy make the nicknames.
Do better.
Be best.
Be best.
Mandevers.
We are the Devil's Advocates. We'll come back with our good buddy, a fine Dem strategist, Joe Zepecki. You remember him from the Mary Burke campaign. He's got insights to offer, and that's why I invited him down for the happy hour. Come back with us. You're listening to Real Resistance Radio. Your calls welcome at 844-967-2789.
What's your prediction?
Prediction?
Yes, prediction.
Pain.
Hey.
Right, okay.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
Hey.
But I pity the fool.
Be best.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Juice, Mom! Juice, juice, juice! Mommy, why are we going to the store? Mom, I want juice! Mom! Juice, juice, juice! Mom!
Your child will have different needs at different stages of life, and that includes the car seat. See, car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Looking for a job worth talking about? Teaching is creative, collaborative, and intellectually challenging. See why teachers have better work stories at teachdfw.org and learn more about becoming a teacher. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We got Mark Pocan live via phone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. So, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Real Resistance Radio, taking your calls with our pal Joe Zepecki. He's a Dem strategist with Zepecki Communications. He has all the answers. And we're going to get some questions from our audience today. Jake from Milwaukee, you are up. Thanks for calling, man. What do you got today?
Yeah, just a comment and then a question for Joe, because I want a real answer, guys. Just kidding. First, that Schmidt ad, like the Sam Elliott beef is what's for dinner, was one of the worst ads I've ever heard in my entire life and listening to political ads. That was terrible. Second, my question for Joe is, since Walker and Republicans have been really mealy-mouthed around Trump attacking Harley Davidson for a boycott, is that ample grounds to use as a wedge issue in campaigning, either by Evers or a PAC? Because to me, it seems it will keep them on the defense to keep on pounding the message that they will not defend a Wisconsin homegrown company.
Yeah, listen, any day when there isn't something else, it should go back to that. And that's part of the political environment and the reality that Scott Walker and Leah Vukmir and every Republican have to answer for. Virtually every single day between now and November 6th, Donald Trump is going to say or do something totally out of bounds. And absolutely, people who are benefiting from his support should be called to answer for it, whether that's on paid ads, whether that's by our press corps. You know, today it was another step towards a dictator using the power of our government to try to silence a critic or who he views as a critic, even though John Brennan, the former CIA director, has never divulged any classified information, which, oh, by the way, the president did to the Russians in the Oval Office. So, yes, whatever Trump is doing or saying, whether it's picking on a Wisconsin company, whether it's acting contrary to American values, Scott Walker and Leah Vukmir have to answer for that every single day between now and November, and that's good news for Tony Evers and Tammy Baldwin.
Thank you for the call, Jake. 844-967-2789. Joe Zepecki, Zepecki Communications in studio. Wisco Paul, you are next. Thanks for calling, Paul. How you doing today, man?
Thanks for taking my call. Joe, is there any value of Tony visiting a prison, something that Saga will not do?
Great question. Great question, Paul.
I'm sure he would be willing to. I'm not sure what the actual logistics of that are, given his current office. You know, it is very unusual for a political candidate to get access to a state institution within a Department of Corrections. You know, Barack Obama became the first president to visit a correction facility during his second term. That's not the kind of thing that is typically available to a candidate who doesn't yet hold that position of authority. But it's certainly an interesting idea.
Hey, you can ask. Maybe Ed Wall will give him a name, somebody inside the department, help him out.
You can ask, and certainly I expect that the crisis at Lincoln Hills and Scott Walker's absolute failure to address it is going to be a part of what Mr. Evers is talking about for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
And there's lots of ways to get that conversation going, short of busting into a prison.
Joe, and I think, thank you for the call, Wisco Paul. We only got a couple of minutes left here, Joe. I think it brings up a good point. That no value in it was such a stunning, because any way you look at and how you interpret that comment, it's bad.
Scott Walker's rusty, man. Like, he went to that press conference to try to hit the Democrats, and he ended up hitting himself, like running into the door or something. He's rusty.
Hey, Joe, I got to ask you, Hillary Clinton, I was somewhat critical of Hillary's candidacy, primarily because she didn't come asking for my vote. Do you think it's realistic? Should we hold Tony Evers to the standard? And perhaps not for myself. You know, I got a little white privilege over here. But on behalf of African-American voters in Milwaukee, is it a fair expectation to say, Tony, come earn our votes?
It is 100% fair, and I have no doubt that he will be in the African-American community in Milwaukee, listening, hearing what they have to say, and taking that with him. And I also think that he has been there throughout his career, but certainly he needs to be there more, and that is 100% a fair expectation.
Joe, tomorrow you got to tune in to the Devil's Advocates. We're going to live broadcast the big rally for Tony Evers and Mandela Barnes. Got a recommended nickname, Evers Bar.
Oh, jeez.
We're going to do better than that. I'm going to workshop this.
Going to thank all our fine guests. Earnell Lucas, the new Sheriff of Milwaukee County, Martha Lanning, Chair of the DPW, Sarah Godlewski, Dem Treasurer nominee, Chris Walton, the Chair of the Democratic Party of Milwaukee County, and of course, our buddy Joe Zepecki. Thank you so much, Joe. Tune in, Devil's Advocates, live on the road with the Tondela ticket in Madison tomorrow. Please tune in. Have a great night. Thanks, Joe.
See you.
The next time, we're going to win the old-fashioned way. We're going to win because we did so well, because it was so overwhelming, the thing that we did.
Be best.
I'm Andy Buck, Field Representative with Painters and Allied Trades of Wisconsin. It's an issue that brings constant challenges for building contractors. How to find qualified painters, glazers, and drywall finishers. IUPAT knows what you want. A professional job performed by skilled workers who care about safety, training, and finishing strong. Workers who are reliable and ready on demand. Let IUPAT provide the people power that you need. You'll feel confident the job is finished right. Connect at iupatdc7.com and finish strong.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Earl Ingram Show. Join me at a new time, weekday mornings, for the Earl